Welcome to the 2-minute overviews of TDMS, and today we're going to take a look at troubleshooting deployment issues. So there's two areas where we want to do troubleshooting. One is the local deployment when it fails on your development machine, and one is the remote deployment when it fails on your remote machine. So today we're going to take a look at the local deployment. The procedure for the remote deployment is basically the same, but it has some added things. So we're going to take a look at that in a separate video. So let's take a look at the local deployment. So the main areas of resolution are the logged jobs view or the transfer history. So let me just go inside the GUI and show you the log jobs view that is normally stacked right in the middle of this bottom stack over here, log jobs. And you can open, if it's not there and you want to open it, you just use show in. There's log jobs again, but there's also transfer history. So both are good navigation start points where you want to take a look at the job. Okay, so let's take a look at a deployment, or let's just go back. So after the log jobs, we have the messages view. The messages shows the details of each job. So I can go and right-click and say Open Messages, and that will open the messages for this job. And we will take a look at this a little bit later as well. So these are the detailed messages. And then we want to take a look at the spool files. If the messages view does not give us exactly what we need, for example, a compile fail, we want to know what failed in the compile in the target, we can drill down into the spool files, and you can right-click and say Show in TDMS spool files, and it will open the spool files view where you can find your spool files. Okay, so then as an extra bonus, we also have this whole thing in the green screen, display log OMS, function that will basically combine these three views into one in the green screen. All right, let's take a look. I have prepared a deployment that will fail. So basically what I did, I made a new field in the customer table. I put an index on it, but I'm not deploying the table. I'm only deploying these three objects. So of course that will fail because that new field is not in the target, right? That is basically the setup. So I do a promote. It gives me a proposition. I say, yeah, please go ahead. Then below you can see the transfer progress. It will fail fairly quickly. But what might notice you is that you do not get an in-your-face message deployment failed or whatever. You can only see it that it's not, it didn't actually update the objects to the target state. It didn't change it to test or to int or whatever the next environment is. So that is your cue that it failed. So it maybe takes some getting used to, but you will get used to that real quick when you refresh your component. And yeah, so there's also plenty of options that you can have an email sent if that is failed. So those are additional setup options. Reason why there's no message is because this is an asynchronous process, right? We submit that deployment and it might not be handled immediately. So that's the reason why. Okay, so we can see that it has failed, right? So okay, let's take a look at the log jobs. So we go in here. We see that we have the transfer. So in my log job, I see two lines. So I see the line with my name and the job name and number, and I also see one with where the user is OMS_error. And this is basically a condensed log. It only shows the program that failed inside that main transfer. So it says here, OMCUS_L1 was failing. So why is that important? Because in a big transfer, you want to know, okay, what was the failure point, right? So where did it actually fail? And this log will tell you which programs were or objects were not correct. So now I know this, I can go to the main view, I can click that, and that will then also be populated by the job messages. Now, if you get a message that we did not load the whole job, that is because this job messages view is only doing like 100 line at a time, right? So if you want to know if it is longer, then you want to increase this, right? So it will take longer because the whole log needs to be analyzed. But yeah, you can put it on 1,000, for example, and then it will load 1,000 log messages. So now I'm in the main log over here. So start object transfer, start creating object, this omcusl1, and this is where it failed. So let's take a look. I scroll down. The first error that I see is file omcusl1 not created in library xt494t. Error creating command action failed, right? So this is has something to do with the compile. So now I want to know, okay, what went wrong in the compile? So phase 3 is I right click on my job again and I say show in tdoms spooled files. If it doesn't populate, click that same line again, and now I can see the job log, 18 pages, and I can see the cusl1, which is my compile listing. So yeah, that's a good place to start, right? So I already, of course, know what's going on. It is that field that is not part of my, so that's the reason. So that's good for me because I can quickly finish it. But sometimes it is not that obvious what it is, right? So it could be a lock, or it could be a binding error, or it could be some weird SQL function instruction that you don't know what happened with that. So for that we have to take a look at the log. Now, and this requires an additional special skill because the log can become very big, especially in situations where the administrator has decided to also log CL program messages. So in that case, the log can be humongous, right? So, and then, yeah, that is really hard to wade through, but we have a couple of tricks. First one is to take a look at this start creating object type file, right? So if I double click this message, I get the full message, and then I can copy this in, started creating object omcusl1, because this will actually also appear in the log. So if I then go in, copy this, and then open the job log, and then do a Control F, and then search that, then it will bring me to the place in the log where the error sort of happened, right? So let's see if we can figure it out from that spot. So let me close this. Okay, start creating object. This is the place in the log. It's about here, right? About almost at the quarter of the log. Start creating object, and now, okay, let's go in. So you will see loads of these kind of things, so we have to remove those. Don't worry about them. Those are messages generated by SQL for some reason. So let's go in. So it does some TDOMS processing, right? So that can also happen, especially for the first object. Authority granted, we get this, an exception executed. The source was created in the target environment. So a lot of change management stuff is happening over here, which basically gives it a little bit of a cloudy look. But yeah, we have to go through it anyway, because in each of these phases it could be failing, right? So one very classic one is that people forget to, they edit the source in test and then it is locked, right? That is also a classic failure point. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so here we have errors in DDS not allowed with specific gen level. Okay, so here we see error executing command create LF. So we found actually the cause of the error. But we had to wait almost like 2 quarters in to find that actual message. But this is basically good, right? So again, so you do a start creating object message, you copy that, you search that message, start creating object, and then you can go from there and then, yeah, let's say analyze your way down to figure out what actually has happened. Another good way is you want to start from the top. So if we take a look at the messages again, it says here, start creating object, okay, blah, 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 and then here we see fallback started. So this is also a good anchor point in the log, right? Because we know that just before the fallback started, that's where it went wrong. So I can take this message and then find this, the fallback procedure has been started, copy that, close, and then go to my job log again, press Ctrl F to find, paste my text, the fallback procedure has been started, and then find that. Okay, so now we are when TDOMS says, okay, I give up, I cannot resolve it, and then we are going to find our way upwards, and that will, yeah, it says immediately error creating command create LF, which started the fallback procedure. So that is basically a good way of figuring out what went wrong in the transfer. Now, there's another thing that I want to tell you, that by default, TDOMS ships with a setting that logs very, very detailed. It also logs the CL messages, and that can be a real pain. So let me just populate this one. No, it's not this. I think it was this one. Yeah, so this was the previous one that I did with that setting in the logCL PGMs, and now you have 88 pages, right? So that is just horrible to wade through, especially this is only one object, and already we have 88 pages of logs, so this is horrible. But we can apply the same trick. So I do Control F, and then I'm going to say the fallback procedure has been started, so find that, and then I'm going to work my way up and see if I can find that issue. And now you can see there's a lot of, yeah, commands that are being logged, right? CL program commands. So, yeah, that should probably be disabled by the administrator. But you can see, okay, this is going to take a long time. But eventually you will find some meat in the logs where you can deduct what has happened. Library list change. Okay, then we can see here error executed command create LF. But yeah, we're already, you know, a long way into that log. So yeah, if the log contains a lot of these messages, you could also opt to change the job description of TDOMS to not log those program flow messages, basically. All right, I hope that was useful. So basically what I wanted you to know is, okay, how can I find my messages? How can I find my spool file? And what tools do I have to analyze my job log? So I told you, well, you can look for the start creating object message. This is a good starting point, and then work your way down. Or find your fallback started message. The fallback procedure has been started. Copy that and look for that in the log, and then work your way up. All right, so that is basically the tips for quickly getting to the cause of your issue. All right, so that's that. So the last thing that I wanted to show you is the green screen logging. By the way, the job description over here contains the rule for that message logging. logCL program commands, you want to set that to *no if you do not want those big logs. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to show you is the display log OMS function. So you can go into the green screen, you can go into work management, and there's option 13, display application log. Sorry, I didn't type 13, option 13. And this will bring us to the log. So here is that same log again. So option 5 over here, error 13 for object OM_cus L1, great. And then I can take a look at the main log. And then inside here, I can scroll down and find my, my problem, file OM_cus L1 not created. If this is a big log, you can also press F14 to collapse it. And then you can use display section to find the section where it failed. So it says error executing command. And then from the previous menu, from the previous screen, you can do option F8. You can go to the job, F8, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then option 4, and you can find your spool files again. And I can do the same trick here. The fallback procedure has been, and then I find that, and then work my way up to find my the issue in the green screen. All right, so I hope this was informative. Yeah, if you have questions, shoot us an email. And thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.